Hey guys, how's it going? It's Calvin Rabb, and I hope you're having a great day today. So, here on YouTube and on the news, there is a lot of talk about the second stimulus check. And it's important to know that at this moment, right now, there is no exact bill that states, this is the bill that's going to give you the stimulus check, and you're going to get it at this time. However, it does feel like we're getting pretty close to that. And the closest thing that we have to getting that stimulus check is known as the HEROES Act. And I think it's very important to know what that is and what the status of that HEROES Act is to understand what the status is of getting a second stimulus check. So in this video, we're going to go over everything related to the HEROES Act. And if you guys are interested in any video outlines, I'll post a video outline in the comments below so you can jump to the point in the video that most interests you. But in this video, I'm going to go over the HEROES Act, exactly what it entails, kind of its key points, and then I'm going to go over kind of what the status is of it, and I'll kind of throw in my opinion of what I think is going to happen to it, because some very big things have happened to the HEROES Act in the past couple days. And then lastly, I'm going to go over kind of the debate around it and how it could kind of shape and change the bill a little bit. And then lastly, I'll go over a few other kind of bills and ideas and proposals to keep your eye on, because those could be avenues of getting the second stimulus check as well. So by the end, you will have a good idea of the status and the possibilities of where your second stimulus check is coming from. So let's get into it. And if you're new here, my name is Calvin Rabb, and I make videos all about personal finance and economics. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. All right, so let's get into the bill that was proposed, and I'm going to go over the key points. Now, it's important to know that this HEROES Act is 1,800 pages long. So I'm just going to go over the key points and key things that I think will affect you the most. So to begin with, unemployment is changing slightly. So right now, for most people, there is that $600 bump in unemployment, meaning you have your normal weekly amount of unemployment, but on top of that, there is $600 because of COVID-19. And then, so that's one change. Another thing that is changing is that stimulus check. So there is another $1,200 coming your way. It will be people that will qualify for it are all the people that qualified for the first one, except now they're even expanding that. So the bill states that it's going to be available to all Americans over the age of 16, and it is capped at a household amount of $6,000. And this is all subject to change, but this is just what the original proposed bill has. So that's the new stimulus check that would be coming your way. So you have the unemployment change, the stimulus check change, and then there are some other changes as well. So another change that was proposed has to do with student loans, and this bill did have a pretty heavy focus on student loans. However, the House did change that a little bit, which we'll talk about. But the original proposal called for really two main changes. The first one with student loans is it was bringing forth the idea of an extension. So right now when you take out student loans, you really have a timetable of, okay, this is how long that loan will be paid out for this certain amount every single month. Now, an extension would extend that due date. It wouldn't change the amount necessarily because it's just a longer period, but it does decrease the amount that you would pay every month in student loans. So that's kind of the idea behind that. There are also student loans forgiveness, which is brought about in this bill, and I believe it was up to $10,000. Now, there are a couple rules, and you'll have to see if it applies to you directly, different loan types between public and private and different types of loans. So that's going to be more on a personal basis, and once this bill gets passed, you'll be able to see if you do qualify for that. But those are two key attributes when it comes to student loans that this bill is changing. Another thing that is introduced in this bill is hazard pay. So hazard pay is going to affect both minimum wage workers along as more higher salary earners. And the way they're going to do that is hazard pay for mainly hourly people, especially minimum wage people that will be involved with this, is it's going to be about a $13 per hour bump, and that is going to be considered just hazard pay. So it's going to be your normal pay plus hazard pay, which is that extra $13 per hour. Now, they still have to really pinpoint what they're defining as hazard pay, who does qualify, who doesn't qualify. They haven't really pinpointed that down yet. And so that's for hourly workers. As far as more high income earners, employers are going to be able able to apply for grants. The bill talked about there being $5,000 and $10,000 grants for high income earners, and they too will be getting hazard pay of lump sum $5,000, $10,000. Obviously, they're not hourly, so you can't really have an hourly bump like you can with obviously hourly people, but companies will be able to take out grants to get this certain hazard pay paid to their salary, just a bump on their salary. So looking through that, those were kind of the 4 key areas that I saw that I believe would affect you directly. There are a lot of other things that are involved in this bill that I could talk about, but I just don't want to make this video too long. You know, for instance, the Postal Service is getting $25 billion because they are really strapped for cash, and it's actually showing that they're gonna almost go bankrupt or have no more money in a couple months, which is kind of scary, but this is just where kind of a bailout of sorts. So $25 billion is going there. There was also, I believe it was $3.6 billion going towards election security and different things like that, as the election format's going to look very different a lot of states, and I wouldn't be surprised if everyone eventually goes by a vote by mail kind of thing. But there's a couple other things in this bill that you can look at that I just didn't want to talk about everything because I don't want to take too much time out of your day. But now that I've talked about those kind of the key attributes of it, I now want to talk about the interesting stuff, meaning the status of it. You know, it's okay, this bill sounds great, but what's the actual status of it? What's happening with it? Okay, so now it's time to talk about the status of it, and I actually waited to film this video until after the House had already voted on it. That way I could actually make the video, make sure it was still a topic that is of utmost importance, and it is because the House did pass this bill. Now, that isn't too groundbreaking. It was kind of expected from what I saw. So the House did vote on it. They did pass it. No, it does not mean you are now going to get your stimulus checks in the mail right away. There's still a couple more steps that have to go. As far as proposals like this, remember, it has to pass the House, and then it has to pass the Senate, and then it will be signed by the president. Now, the House wasn't something that people were too surprised over it passing the bill. The Senate is where the debate's really going to start, and I'll get into that in my next segment as I talk about, you know, what's the debate about around this bill, who stands on each side, and different things like that. But it is important to know that the House did pass it. It passed roughly the same bill came out that went in, meaning there are a few changes. I was trying to see exactly what changed, and I had a little bit of an issue seeing what exactly changed. It did look like, I talked about that student loan forgiveness up to $10,000. It does look like that was changed a little bit, although reading through it I was a little confused exactly what changed. So there still is student loan forgiveness. It just looks like it was narrowed down a little bit from the original amount, and the House was mainly just figuring out how to shuffle around all the money, although it didn't look like any key attributes definitely or really changed all too much. It's $3 trillion of this package. It would be the biggest economic relief package that the U.S. has ever really passed, and the other one was just passed in the CARES Act, which was $2 trillion. So huge amounts, unbelievable amounts of money, but the House did pass it, so now it moves on to the Senate. But now I want to move on to the next segment, which talks a little bit about the debate and where people are standing. Alright, so you can't talk about any political bill without talking about the debate behind it. So let's get into that a little bit. This one is a little bit more split on party lines than we saw the original CARES Act. So the original $2 trillion act that was passed, and that's how everyone got their $1,200 stimulus checks, that one was not so much split on party lines. I think everyone knew that we had to do something. Don't get me wrong, there was debate, but one thing, a little bit of a tangent, I was very impressed with how fast government passed it, meaning you passed $2 trillion. Like, that is an unbelievable amount of money that quickly. I was very impressed with how fast that gotten done. However, I did understand that it was a dire situation and something had to be done. But this one is not going to be passed as fast. This one now has that split on party lines. So in order to understand the party lines, it's important to know how this bill was created. So this bill was created by Nancy Pelosi, and she created this bill without negotiation from Republicans. So there weren't Republicans in on writing this bill. And as you can expect, if just one Democrat or kind of a team of Democrats is writing the bill, Republicans probably are not going to be the biggest fans of that bill. And that is really what has happened here. So the main issue isn't so much all the Republicans really disliking this bill. A lot of Republicans, after passing that $2 trillion original package, are now saying, okay, we have to take a step back and look how this one pans out. That was what a lot of Republican senators were saying, is we passed $2 trillion. Before we pass anything else, let's see how this one works out. And think about the $2 trillion. And Mitch McConnell even said that he wouldn't even bring up a vote, and he was very, very much so against it. So as far as roadblocks are considered, getting through the Senate, and especially Mitch McConnell, is going to be a very tough issue for the Democrats. So that is something that you're going to want to keep in mind, and that will really slow this progress of this bill. So this is where politics really come into play, and the other one made it through, but this one will, like most bills, get a lot more negotiation. So Mitch McConnell is a firm stance against not voting. I think he said pushing it all the way to Memorial Day. He won't even think about it. So the bill probably will take a little while, but it is on its way. All right, so you now have a pretty good idea of the HEROES Act and kind of what it entails. And to finish out this video, I want to talk about other proposals, because there's a very good kind of situation or odds that maybe the HEROES Act doesn't get passed and another thing fills its place. So it's important to know what those other options are. And from my research, there are 3 main acts that have been proposed that are important to talk about. Now, there is quite a bit to know about these, and if you are more interested in them, I actually made a whole nother video talking about these 3 specifically and a few others that are important to know about when it comes to the second stimulus check and getting those ideas. So I highly recommend checking out that video. The main reason is I just didn't want to make this video too long for you guys. But essentially what everyone's talking about and what's really being passed around is this idea of getting $2,000 per month. And this is kind of a number that as a society, a lot of people have just kind of agreed upon. And when you think about things like universal basic income, this is kind of the amount that is thrown around. And there are 3 main acts that hit that $2,000 per month, each one done in different ways. Different people apply. Again, see that other video for more details. But the important ones to know is the first one, known as the Automatic Boost for Communities Act. And this one is just kind of abbreviated as the ABC Act. This one is very important to know, and it is one that would give you $2,000 a month to qualifying individuals, and it is one of the more popular ones aside from the HEROES Act being there. I think ABC Act was probably second. The other one is Emergency Money for the People Act is another one that will give you $2,000. And then lastly is the Monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. So each of these are important to know. Just kind of have them in your head, know what they entail. Check out my other video that I made to learn a little bit more about them. But those are important just to be on your radar when it comes to this. And when you see it come across the news, just kind of know what the status is of it and what it kind of entails. All right, so that will wrap it up. That is the video on the status of your second stimulus check. Now, as you can see, nothing has been set in stone yet. There is no guarantees. There is a lot of debate. However, after I saw the HEROES Act, was following it for a little while, I saw it was passed by the House, I thought it was time to make a video on it. And if you guys enjoyed it, I will do follow-up videos about the HEROES Act if this is something that you guys are interested in, or if you want me to focus on maybe a different bill, a different act, a different proposal. I really enjoy this stuff. As you guys know, I'm an economics major at UCLA, so I find all this very, very fascinating, especially with trillions of dollars being pumped through the economy. And from an economic perspective, everything is fascinating. However, it is a little scary at the same time, but it is all very, very important to know. So as you can see, nothing's guaranteed yet. It does look like as the quarantine continues and states start to reopen slowly, the economy will probably be a little slow, and it does look like a second stimulus check is likely to be on the way. So it's important to keep those in mind, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything else you want to say, maybe you see another act that you think is gaining momentum, or you have maybe a different opinion that I do on something, or just I want to know what your opinion is of the HEROES Act. Do you think this is something that will be passed? It will not be passed? Let's have a conversation about it. I think this is one of the most important things, probably economically, politically, to be talking about right now. So let's have a good conversation in the comments below. So just let me know your thoughts on the whole thing altogether. But that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for taking precious time out of your day to watch my videos. I truly appreciate it. I did a lot of research for this video, and if you found it helpful, I would love it if you just hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, for I make a lot of videos based on economics and personal finance and different things like that. So I hope all of you are doing very, very well, staying safe, staying sane, and different things like that. And as always, my name is Calvin Rabb, and I'll see you soon. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm going to move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Rabb, and I'll see you soon.